If you watched football in the mid-2000s, you probably remember one player who changed the game forever. It's hard to deny that when Ronaldinho was at his best, he was the most dominant player on the pitch. And while those days are long gone, you just have to hear the football legends explain why prime Ronaldinho was on a different level. Let's be honest guys, talking about Ronaldinho in terms of greatness is always a difficult task because while the pure talent was there, he had no longevity. His last elite season was when he was around 26 or 27 years old, and since then we've seen players like Zidane, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Messi redefine longevity. But rather than feel bad about not seeing Ronaldinho create magic on the pitch for as long as we would have liked, it's probably a good time to appreciate the short period we saw him revolutionize football. Here is what Lionel Messi said about Dino's time with Barcelona. Ronaldinho was responsible for the change in Barca. It was a bad time, and the change that came about with his arrival was amazing. In the first year, he didn't win anything, but people fell in love with him. Then the trophies started coming, and he made all those people happy. Barca should always be grateful for everything he did. Messi had a safe landing when he joined Barcelona's team, and Ronaldinho played a huge role in that. Remember Messi's first official goal? Ronaldinho gave the assist and then gave the Argentine a piggyback ride like he was his kid brother, and at that moment we knew that there was a passing of the torch, retrospectively speaking. It was as if Ronaldinho was introducing Messi to the world, and as Messi continued learning the ropes, it coincided with a period of dominance from Barcelona. But his teammates weren't the only ones who acknowledged Ronaldinho's greatness, even his rivals did. Zinedine Zidane remains one of the greatest midfielders of all time, and many of us are at loggerheads comparing Zidane to Ronaldinho. But even the Frenchman himself didn't hold back from praising Gaucho. Here's a tweet showing what Zidane said about Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho is total class. He's quick, powerful, and has extraordinary technique. He's a dribbler, but also a player who can make the play for his teammates. He's not really a number 10. He's more of a second attacker who can score goals and has the vision to make them. Yeah, that's not a bad way to summarize what Ronaldinho did on the pitch. Some fans even go as far as saying that Ronaldinho was football. But this isn't just some glazing or excessive praise. Let's see what other legends had to say. Deco even went as far as comparing Ronaldinho with Cristiano and Messi. Deco had 75 caps for Portugal and started for Barca from 2005 to 2008. So he's one of the few players fortunate to have played alongside Messi and Ronaldo. But here is the shocking thing he says. Ronaldinho was more talented than Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. When we didn't know what to do, he would create chances to score. That's one interesting take right there. Do you agree with Deco that Dino was more talented than CR7 and Messi? Ronaldinho was one of the several Barca players that were sold shortly after the arrival of Pep Guardiola. Contrary to claims that Pep forced the Brazilian out, Pep revealed that he wanted Ronaldinho to stay at Barca. He said that before Messi, he had never seen anything like Ronaldinho. Getting such high praise from all the legendary players and managers tells you that Ronaldinho's wonders on the pitch were no fluke. But it gets even better when you hear what Maradona said about Gaucho. Maradona called Ronaldinho one of the greatest players that he had ever seen. But he didn't stop at that. When Gaucho got into trouble with the law and ended up in jail following claims of passport fraud in Paraguay, Maradona was one of the most prominent people to stand up for the Brazilian. Maradona said that he was willing to back Ronaldinho to the death and that Ronaldinho wasn't a criminal. His only mistake was being an idol. But switching gears, let's talk about a player who, at the age of 29, already had more goals and assists than Ronaldinho. Neymar in his prime could have won the Ballon d'Or, if not that he was up against the two best players in the world at the time. Also, Neymar is only behind Cafu as Brazil's most capped player, and it's a record that he can break within the next 1 to 2 seasons. And yes, he's also Brazil's highest goal scorer ever. But even Neymar acknowledges what Ronaldinho did back in the day. In Neymar's words, no one can compare it to Ronaldinho. I remember his plays, his dribbles. I remember him winning every title at Camp Nou. He made history at Barca. He made history with Brazil. Another legend who also believes we shouldn't be making comparisons in the first place is Nani. The Portuguese was known for his flair and talent back in the day, but when talking about the best player in history, Nani does not doubt that it is Ronaldinho. The reason? Nani says that when Ronaldinho was at his best, no one could touch him. He always had a smile on his face and had the skill to score fantastic goals and put magic into the game. That's one way to define greatness for sure. It's how far you're compared to your peers, and it's one of the reasons we see GOAT debates in different sports. Some people choose LeBron over Michael Jordan in basketball. Others still stick to Roger Federer in tennis, despite Novak having superior records in tennis. But we aren't here to start any GOAT debates. It's all about appreciating what Ronaldinho did back in the day. And if you ask Ray Hudson, he would tell you that Dino wasn't normal. This is not normal. He's not normal. He never has been. He lives in the magnetic spectrum. Those were Hudson's words following an amazing piece of skill that led to an incredible goal from Ronaldinho. He brought more beauty to the game. Echoing those emotions, Kevin Prince Boateng said that he often wondered how it was possible to have so much talent in one body. It's easy to see why all these footballers saw Ronaldinho in that light. He played a huge role in modernizing and expanding the role of attackers. He could play wide and was also capable of drifting inside. He caused all sorts of headaches to defenders. And the truth is that anytime he received the ball, you couldn't predict what he was going to do next. And it's safe to say that he probably didn't know what he was going to do either. He was that spontaneous. And that's something Eder Gudjohnsen also noted, and at one point, he wasn't surprised anymore. When you play with him and see what he does with the ball, nothing surprises me anymore. One of these days, he will make the ball talk. I mean, this guy made defenders dance and wipe their butts on the floor when they tried to tackle him. You only need to check out clips on social media to see for yourself. A footballer who did that was Eden Hazard. Here's what he says. I learned a lot from Ronaldinho and Robinho. Football is a tactical game and you sometimes have to be serious, but they taught me to always do it with a smile and have fun. I spend hours watching their clips on YouTube. It's no surprise we saw Hazard with his bag of tricks in his heyday. Unfortunately, injuries and loss of form made Hazard fall off and retire from the game early. But before we wrap things up, let's talk about some English footballers and their experiences with gaucho. Lampard said that he had never seen a player like Ronaldinho and that he thought the Brazilian was from a different planet to the rest of us. David Beckham called him unplayable, effortless, and a genius with the ball. Ronaldinho had almost 300 career goals and 200 assists for club and country, which is still super impressive for someone who functioned mostly as an attacking midfielder, left midfielder, or left winger. He entertained fans at Brazil, PSG, Barcelona, and AC Milan, and won 3 league titles and the Champions League during his time in Europe. I should also mention that he won the World Cup and Copa America with Brazil, the Ballon d'Or once, FIFA World Player of the Year twice, and dozens of other individual awards. The stats were incredible. Gaucho was a serial winner and was universally seen as the best footballer in the world between 2004 and 2006. But the interesting thing is that his charm was never about career statistics or honors. It had more to do with the pure joy and emotions that he brought whenever he had the ball at his feet. Ronaldinho's biggest appeal was his unmatched aesthetic value as arguably the most watchable footballer. If you ask many football fans today who made them start watching football, they'd mention Ronaldinho. While the Brazilian's active years at the highest level were short, the truth is that Ronaldinho's legacy is untouchable in football. We can only imagine what he could have achieved with Cristiano Ronaldo's work ethic. But over to you guys. How would you describe Ronaldinho in his prime?